Today's video is brought to you by a man who may be burning some bridges today in this video. Maybe burning one bridge in particular, but not really. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on how people feel about the thumbnail and everything. But we're going to be talking about Ubisoft today. So again, this video is more about just the news, what's going on with Ubisoft, just reporting on that, cancellations, studio closures, things like that. This isn't an attack or indictment on them. So if you guys don't know, last month I did become an Ubisoft partner. So, I'm not talking down on the company, but the part of my channel is to talk about what's going on in the gaming world and everything like that. So I don't want to not mention it at all. So either way, we're going to talk about everything today. Now, Ubisoft over the last few years, obviously during the early 2000s was like the peak of their popularity with, franchises like Rayman, and later in the 2000s you had, Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell and Ghost Recon and all these things. So like Ubisoft has been doing their thing, especially the 2010s, I think was like the peak with them hitting over like a $9 billion market cap around 2018 going into 2019 with, like I said, the 2010s in particular was probably the most Ubisoft I played. I didn't realize that till I was kind of sitting down to make this video with games like, on the Xbox One with Watch Dogs and Rayman Legends and Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Ubisoft has been a big staple, and yes, there are things people don't like as far as, just the bloatedness of some of the games, like the later Far Cry games, Assassin's Creed games, the having to seems like you have to pay to level up and certain practices and things like that. But either way, I mentioned a million franchises. They have a lot that have been successful, but what they've run into some issues recently is some of the same repair, like Assassin's Creed becoming a yearly release thing and them highly relying on that. Far Cry coming out every 4 to 5 years. People been waiting for Prince of Persia, the recent Rogue Prince of Persia, which I did impressions for. You could check that out. But the remake, it's canceled, and we'll get into that. They've even the Lost Crown, which was kind of their Metroidvania style, that didn't sell well enough, and that studio got closed, even though they were focusing on hopefully doing a sequel to that game. So, there's been a lot going on with Ubisoft, but we'll get into all that. So if you are new to the channel, you like what I do here, please do hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this, and let's get right into this Ubisoft news. So the first bit of news that we want to talk about is Ubisoft's cancellation. So we're going to talk about cancellations, restructuring, and then what we've seen as a strike from some of the employees coming up. So this was back on the 22nd, so last week. So Ubisoft canceled the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. So Sands of Time, I actually have it over here. Original right here, have it on GameCube. So this was a pretty popular game for them, especially in like the modern era, because Prince of Persia was back on the NES or SNES days. This remake was announced, I think it was like 2020 or 2021. There was rumors that it was going to shadow drop a couple weeks ago, like the 16th. Some people thought, okay, maybe it'll show up at the developer direct for Xbox. It never did. I kept checking my email because, like I said, I became a partner, so I was seeing if I was gonna get a a code for it or something, but it never showed up. And then eventually it got canceled. And on top of that, not only did it get canceled, but they also canceled 6 other games, or 5 other games, so 6 games in total, and then delayed 7 more. So it says right here, Ubisoft canceled 6 games in total, including Sands of Time remake, and then delayed 7 more. And reportedly 3 of these titles are all new IPs. So that sucks to see, because I always, again, we're going to champion new IPs around here. Like, we need new fresh ideas, and unfortunately that did not happen. The other thing, we've been seeing the rumor for the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake. Like I've mentioned, this is actually the only Assassin's Creed I've ever owned. My mom got it for me on Xbox One. And then they also, we'll talk about more with the restructuring, but they also ended up closing their Stockholm and Halifax division. So yeah, I mean, again, the writing's been on the wall for Ubisoft a little bit when it comes to this, and they're just not, it's just not where it used to be. So moving on from the cancellations, we'll talk about the restructuring. So they've restructured they've redone the structure as far as they're calling it creative houses. So when it comes to Ubisoft, I mentioned a bunch of their different games, but now they're going to have 5 different basically like divisions within the company, which people are saying like, okay, this is setting them up to be able to, sell some of these off piecemeal to certain companies that want to buy them up, maybe Tencent or I don't know, Embracer Group, Xbox, who knows, Microsoft, whatever. But so with the 5 different houses, so you have the main one. So Vantage Studio is going to head up the company's most lucrative franchises. So like I mentioned, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six. That's like the big three for them as far as money goes. Then you got Creative House 2, which is going to have shooters like Ghost Recon and The Division. Now, The Division, I believe, is still like active. Ghost Recon, I'm not sure when the last game came out, but I feel like it has been a while. Creative House 3 is going to have live service games. So For Honor, The Crew, and then potentially Trackmania. Now, The Crew, I believe, wasn't it The Crew Motorsport or The Crew Motorfest, whatever? One of them like shut down or something. Like they stopped porting it. So I don't know. Creative House 4 is going to, this is kind of the big one that a lot of people like. This is the one I care most about. So this is like the single player game. So Rayman, not Assassin's Creed, Rayman, Prince of Persia, and then Beyond Good and Evil 2, which has been in the works for like 15 years now, I think, like 2018, almost 20 years at this point. So that game, I don't know, I heard it's cost them like $500 million of development costs, who knows. And then Creative House 5 is the family friendly division, so it's going to have Just Dance, card and board games, adaptations and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of restructuring. I think it's kind of funny to see because Ubisoft has so many of these that they didn't have some type of separation to begin with before this. But either way, that's kind of how it's going with the restructuring. Now after the restructuring, so that was Tech Radar, by the way, I forgot to mention that, but we're on IGN right now. And so after the cancellation, so this was posted this past Monday, and it's saying that so now Ubisoft is kind of doing this, okay, we're trying not to lay off people technically, so we're trying to like save face a little bit. So they're putting out this thing called the RCC process, which is going to be the Rupture Conventionnel Collective. So they're going to lose up to 200 jobs in Paris after all these restructurings, but what they're doing is they're kind of leaving it to be voluntary. So they're saying the staff can agree to form a collective with a voluntary mutual termination agreement. So this is from the Ubisoft spokesperson. They told IGN, it says, in line with last week's announcements on its new operating model and acceleration of cost reduction initiatives, Ubisoft International has initiated discussions regarding a potential RCC, a collective voluntary mutual termination agreement that would involve up to 200 positions at its headquarters in France. So yeah, again, like restructuring, cancellations, market share, we could talk about it at the bottom here. It says like after all these announcements, like, and it's funny because I was talking to my sister yesterday about, she's learning about investing in, pension and 403b and, 401k and stuff like that, learn about the stock market. I'm trying to tell her like, yes, it's smart to diversify your money. You don't have all your money in one place, but a lot of people don't understand like having a bunch of money. I think when you're rich or being a company that has a bunch of money, billions of dollars, it can go away like that because the money's not, it's not that it's not real, but a lot of, when you get to that millions and billions of dollars, all this stuff is based on stock price and assets and what do you call it, the investors and stakeholders like optimism around where they think you'll be in projections and things like that. But just as well as that goes, it can go the opposite way, which we're seeing here with Ubisoft, because after all these mentions and stuff, people are feeling pessimistic about the brand, stakeholders are selling shares, they're taking money out and all that. So right after all these announcements, Ubisoft stock plunged 40%, and it's now 95% down from its peak in January 2021. Like I mentioned, around that 2018, 2019, like going those next 3 years, it was around like $9 billion, I believe, and now it's like a fraction of that. 95% down from that is like less than $1 billion. It's probably like 900 million, 800 million or something, which is insane to think. Like that's how quickly this stuff changes in this business and gaming in particular. And then the last part I want to talk about for this video is this is from Data Economy or dataeconomy.com. So this is like fresh off the press. This was posted, or not fresh, yesterday at 7:10 a.m. But basically, workers at that Paris headquarters, after that whole voluntary, termination thing, they're voting the strike. So from February 10th to the 12th, they're organized by they call it the Syndicat des Travailleurs des Jeux Vidéo. I'm sorry, I took French one junior year just to get through high school, so I don't know. And along with 5 other unions within the company. So this is a strike. This is their letter. We don't have to read the whole thing, but basically it says enough is enough. Faced with the arbitrary decision of the CEO, who doesn't even dare talking to employees anymore, unions are calling for a strike on February 10th, 11th, and 12th. And they just list a lot of stuff that they just don't like no dialogue, no respect. The creativity is being put at risk by canceling the games. The future of studios are destined for closure without no details. Careers of the colleagues who are being let go, social dialogue, all this stuff. It's just they mention anti-remote work, which is a lot of companies are talking about now with this, trying to force people to go back to work and all this nonsense. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Even the one of the voice actors for Prince of Persia remake said she lost out on 3 years of work with this cancellation, which I don't know what that means. Does it mean you don't get paid if the game doesn't come out? And she did 3 years worth of lines. Does it mean that game wasn't coming out for another 3 years? I don't know, but that's not good. And she found out when we found out. Like that is the worst part about all this, when people working on these games are finding out as the public is finding out. It's really bad. So, but either way, I mean, Ubisoft, I think they have a lot of valuable franchises. Like they have really popular franchises as well. Like I don't think they can just go away. Like someone is going to fix this. Either they're going to buy them up. This restructuring may help them to sell and then live on. And as I always say, I prefer a company to exist as long as you're putting out stuff that we like, rather than not exist at all. Like however that existence looks like, I mean, that's not up for us to decide. So, but y'all let me know, how do y'all feel about everything going on with Ubisoft? Should I have even made this video considering the partnership, like I said? But I mean, again, partnership, work together. If we don't want to work, then it is what it is. I'm more so announcing the news, talking about what's going on in the world of video games. This wasn't a shot at Ubisoft. It's just the facts are the facts. This information's out there. I'm not, saying anything that nobody else couldn't see on their own. But either way, subscribe if y'all new. As always, leave a like, and I appreciate you guys. I'll check you on the next video.